You know, a dozer could come out here and wipe this whole slate clean. But like I've shown you, we've got some old creek beds and dry creek beds, and a dozer at no fault of its own is gonna probably destroy some of that.
Clearing land is difficult and time consuming no matter how you do it, but I'm always looking for the best way and trying to compare different methods. So let me know what you guys think. Is this the right tool for the job?
Hey, it's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and today we're going to do some brush cutting with the skid steer. I've come to visit Chad from Doss Farms, and he's been trying to do some property clearing and using rented equipment and having problems with it. If you've ever watched a mulcher run on a skid steer, you feel like, oh, you know, all they do is put it on, start it, and drive into stuff. It's actually a lot harder than it looks. I've got to do it a few times. And he's had this big disc mulcher, and he's had problems with it not working right and blown hoses and stuff like that. We're just going to use a skid steer brush cutter.
I'm not totally new to a skid steer. I've run one many times, excavators, tractors, that kind of thing. But running the heavier duty stuff, your brush cutters, your mulchers, things like that, there's so much that can affect its performance. And I've had a couple issues. That's why people who can afford to buy do. But when I found out you had something that was right up our alley, you know, you were kind enough to say, hey man, I'll come do it for free. I love playing. So basically this, what you brought is a brush hog or bush hog, which one's the brand?
Bush hog.
Bush hog's the brand. So you brought a brush hog on steroids, if I could be so bold.
Yep. And with the tractor, when you get into the big stuff, it feels like, oh, I don't want to tear anything up, and this machine doesn't care.
It's official. I'm selling my tractor and buying one of those.
You would never choose a machine like this to mow grass like what we're doing here. So I almost cut all this footage out, but I decided to leave it in just to highlight the difference that a forestry mulcher is good for shredding trees, and it can do that at a much higher level than a brush cutter like this. But this type of skid steer mount brush cutter does have some versatility, because if you choose to, you can mow a field with it, and it actually gives a pretty nice finished cut.
So right now we're gonna see what I can do with like this patch right here. See if that's too much for my little machine or if it can handle it.
So I realized that I'm trying to talk about the best way to clear this piece of property, and I really didn't give a proper introduction. So what we've got here is a John Deere 325G skid steer. It's 75 horsepower, it's about a 10,000 pound machine, and I'm running a 7-foot John Deere RC78 brush cutter. Now I'm doing this work for my friend and neighbor Chad Doss from the Doss Farms YouTube channel. He's got an awesome channel that is kind of a family vlog about their life on a small farm. They've got 40 acres here that's largely wooded, and they've got livestock and just really good videos. And I was watching their channel already, but had no idea they lived close to me until recently. Turns out we're only 20 miles apart. So I think we're probably going to be doing some more videos together. So if you have any interest in that type of content, go over to Doss Farms, check out the channel. His plan with this new 40-acre property is to clear all the small stuff so that their livestock can graze back here under the big trees. And he's been renting equipment to try to do that, and he's been having a lot of trouble with the rented equipment. So I've come over to try to help him out. But you know what? I'll let him tell his own story here in a second.
All right, so behind me is where you've created destruction and havoc. And I mean, clearly it's working some.
These machines are super cool. Man, they just straight rip. I think I needed a little better teeth on the drum, but I like it. It's pretty, I tell you what I like. I see your draw to it, I love changing the look and the layout. I get some comments about not clearing the land because they worry about wildlife and stuff like that. Like, for example, there's a turtle back there somewhere photobombing us. But some animals can't thrive in this heavily wooded structure. And that's what we're trying to do, is take down some of the undergrowth, some of the stuff that's starving the pretty trees. The saplings can starve other things, and that's what we want to get rid of. So.
Exactly. And I get that comment a lot, like, you should have left that tree. I'm like, I don't know if people realize I'm surrounded by 100 acres of untouched woods. We're not running out of habitat around here.
But they say a healthy forest that animals can graze on and live in, your trees should be about 12 feet apart. So that was from one of the geological things we did or looked up.
So we spent half a day running this machine across Chad's property, trying to do as much as we could in the time we had. Most of the time I was running it, but this is video of Chad running it. And I think these machines are so much fun to run that anytime I'm working with someone else, I give them that option if they want to get a little bit of seat time. And he seemed to do a really good job with it.
If you're wondering how that gets filmed in front of it where it throws debris, I'm shielding myself with a tree.
So for those of you who have experience running this type of equipment, what do you think of the work I'm doing with it today? Is this just how this is meant to be used? It's rated for material up to 4 inches, but I often think of that as like a field that you haven't brush hogged in a couple years, and it's just overgrown. Whereas here, some of this may be 4, 5, 6 inch diameter, but some of these trees are 25 foot tall, and I can't shred them very well. It's not a mulcher. So, would you use your machine like this, or am I tearing it up? About 3 hours ago, Chad published a video on his Doss Farms YouTube channel showing this same project from his point of view. And I've been overwhelmed by the reaction I've gotten from his audience. It's unbelievable how strong of a following he has here on YouTube, and how many people showed up in my comment section saying thanks for helping Chad with this project. I've gained 1,500 subscribers in just a few hours. So I'm incredibly grateful to Chad, who is an awesome guy. So if you guys want to return the favor, go over to his channel and tell him that I said hi. If you're wondering how long it takes to clear a section like this, I'll tell you the footage is playing at about 4 times speed, but still goes pretty quick, and we're a good distance away, so it's hard to tell, but these are big trees, really. A lot of 3 and 4 inch diameter.
A big part of what I hope to do with this channel is if you have a piece of property like this, and every type of equipment is super expensive. Hiring someone to do this work is expensive, but you want to maintain this property. I'm trying to find out and put it to the test myself, like what works and what doesn't. And so now you've seen this machine, you've ran this one, you've rented some other stuff, you brought your tractor down here. Like, you have any insight about trying to clear this stuff or what's worked?
I think everything serves its purpose. There's a purpose for everything. You have to decide, if you're using something like this, you're going to leave bigger pieces. If you use a drum mulcher, you're still going to have mulch everywhere, but it's going to be finer. So you're still going to have pieces. So you still either have to, I think no matter what you use, you got to have a landscape rake when you're done. If you call a dozer, which we were just talking about, you know, a dozer could come out here and wipe this whole slate clean. But like I've shown you, we've got some old creek beds and dry creek beds, and a dozer, at no fault of its own, is going to probably destroy some of that. And we've got some animal trails, and we don't want to truly disturb it. So I think each farm is going to have its own whatever. Like you were saying, how many rocks you've got in certain spots.
What I find is, like, this is a fantastic machine. It's a great cutter for what it's made for. But for this, I feel like I need 7 different attachments. Like, I need to drop this off and then pull a bunch of trees, and then this for here. And I haven't found anything that is going to be just perfect for this. I think the answer is it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of work.
It will. Like, what were you talking? What'd you call the single tree? You've got a puller.
And then the tree shear.
And then the tree shear.
Tree shear.
So if you wanted to, but that tree shear, again, this is 40 acres. It's 80% woods, 20% cleared. Let's say 21 since you've been here today. But that tree shear is going to be time consuming, real time consuming. Is it cleaner? Sure. Yeah. But you wouldn't want to do that over this. And like we were talking about too, if for this particular property, or anybody that's got one like it, if I don't put animals on this, give it a season, and it's going to be grown up again. You know, there's probably not going to be 6 to 8 foot saplings, but it's going to get real weedy again. You'd have to come back and do it again. So, you know, but this was just raw land. It hadn't been touched back here in 30, 40 years.
What we keep talking about throughout the day is what a blessing it is to get to spend our time on these beautiful pieces of property.
Amen.
And if I haven't said it already, make sure you go check out Doss Farms. I appreciate you having me
I appreciate it, man. It's nice meeting you too, Rod.
Yeah.
Appreciate it very much.
I appreciate you guys taking time to watch. Put links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.